who do I feel safe being myself around? And who do I avoid being myself around? Where are there opportunities for me to be more authentic? Where do I need to protect myself a little bit more?
It's interesting because the law of attraction cannot work when you're not yourself. And like to your point, Kev, you shouldn't be liked by everyone. I think that's got to be one of the most misunderstood concepts in the world.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. It was number 1184, 3 simple mindset shifts that can change your life. Today, for episode number 1185, who can you be the real you around? So as you know, Alan and I now consider ourselves, self-improvement podcasters and coaches and peak performers and character-driven men, and we're always trying to get a little bit better at everything that we do. But at one point, Kevin was very, very, very new to self-improvement. And this was when I was working at my job that required me to travel up and down the East Coast of the United States to stay in unsavory parts of the country in sketchy hotels, sometimes with sketchy human beings. There were a couple times where I worked with people that were probably unsavory also. They could be considered unsavory.
Questionable characters.
Questionable. Now, the interesting thing is when I started my job, so just for quick context, I met my boss one time, got in a vehicle with him. I drove 8 hours from Massachusetts to Delaware, moved into a home with 7 people I had never met, and then I did a job that I'd never done before. And that was my first week on the job. When I got the job, I was the fitness guy. And everybody identified me as the fitness guy. The first thing I did when I drove down there with my boss, the next day I found a gym. Because we went down there maybe we went down there on the weekend, I don't know. But I found a gym and I became the gym guy. So in that circle, I was already leaning into, I am the fitness guy. This is who I am. I want to make sure I can actually be this around these new people. Now, if you fast forward a year or 2 years, 3 years, I started self-improvement. And there was a very small group of people that I worked with that I felt safe talking about self-improvement, personal development, habits, mindset, hyper-consciousness, because that's what it was at the beginning. It was hyper-consciousness. And I'll never forget this. I had a young man I work with, shout out to Ray. I don't think Ray listens anymore, but Ray and I started having deep talks in these 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hour drives we would have. We'd listen to music and we'd have these deep talks. And eventually it got to the point where when I left my job, Ray and I were texting back and forth. And he was like, dude, congrats. Like, that's awesome, man. I can't wait to leave this place. Awesome. I can't wait to see you change the world. It was amazing. He ended up leaving, I don't know if it was a year later, and we were chatting. So shout out to the first event we ever had. Well, the first event we ever co-hosted, Top Notch Live. Ray came through, bought a ticket, came, and he delivered me a book that I'm holding in my hand. It's called Thick Face, Black Heart, The Warrior Philosophy for Conquering the Challenges of Business and Life. I looked, they don't have this audiobook. I haven't read it because I like audiobooks, but the reason I wanted to do this episode is the person that I began testing the waters with of being me, of being the authentic version of myself, ended up coming to one of our events and gifting me a self-improvement personal development book. That quite literally never would have happened if I didn't lean into, hey, this is who I actually am. So the goal in today's episode is for you to look and think to yourself, who do I feel safe being myself around? And who do I avoid being myself around? Where are there opportunities for me to be more authentic? Where do I need to protect myself a little bit more? I thought that was a really good story to explain it because it's scary to be into self-improvement around a bunch of people you don't know. But when you do connect with somebody on that level, amazing things can happen. And now I have a wonderful book because of it. Unfortunately, I don't talk to Ray. I haven't heard from Ray in a long time. I miss him. But I will always have fond memories of our self-improvement, hyper-conscious talks that we used to have.
What did you guys talk about?
Man, back then I know we were talking about a lot about relationships because I had just gone through the breakup. So we were talking about how that all played out. We used to talk a lot about ego. We would talk a lot about confidence. We would talk a lot about discipline. I remember one of the things I said to him, I was like, dude, how are you always in a good mood? Like, no matter what, when we're working, you're always in a good mood. I don't get it. And he's like, it's just perspective, man. Like, I'm here. I might as well be happy. I was like, no, man, I hate this. This is terrible. What do you mean? And him and I, it was a really hyper-conscious thought for me at the time. And I was like, all right, let me explore this. And we ended up getting pretty close.
I just had a moment when you were talking. Remember we used to talk about mindset?
Yeah, man. That
all
was
the time.
We talked about that last episode. So,
we were actually, did we?
Yeah.
We were mindset coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when you were a mindset coach?
Yeah, I was voted the number one mindset coach by several of my clients who had never had one before or had one since. The number one mindset coach in the planet.
The number one mindset coach. Today.
Yes.
I had NLU team member actually, in fact, say this, something along the lines of, I don't feel like I fit in book club. Remember, okay, so I'll keep this anonymous, of course, but we were on a team huddle recently. And one of our team members, shout out to Jessie, she has the compound effect in her background of her Zoom, her webcam. And one of the team members said, we do a most important win, most important improvement at the beginning of every team huddle, every Wednesday. And the most important improvement for this other person, I'll keep it anonymous, was they want to read more. They really want to read more books. I've since actually dug into her past with her. We talked. It turns out one of the people that treated her really poorly in her childhood was an intellectual and used to read a lot of books. So she associated books with that kind of person, that I'm not the type of person who XYZ, right? And so we don't realize that when we're kids, we see, and I'll give you an example too. So my stepdad used to build cars and fix cars and all that kind of stuff. And I just never, I avoided that because I associated, okay, I don't get along with him. I don't want to be that type of person. So yet I'm curious about everything else. I want to know about all the other stuff. Maybe not everything, but most things. But that I don't know a single thing about. And so what happens is, to get back to the original story, this person said, I don't feel like I fit into book club. And when we were on the huddle, we all held up our books. When she said she wants to start reading more, I started pulling books out of the background here. Kev, you had a couple books that you grabbed from your shelf. We had all our team members and she was like, oh my God, like, I feel a little bit attacked right now. She was joking. But no, we just want to encourage you. Like, reading is really good. It's awesome. We all do it. Like, you got this. You can do this. But when she said she doesn't fit into book club, it's like, I'm not the type of person that goes to book club. And she probably just doesn't feel like she can be herself. At the end of the day, that's probably what it is. I'm uncomfortable because I don't feel like I fit in. And I don't feel like I can be myself. And I think that we have to be very careful of this whole idea of, do I fit in here? Am I the type of person that? Because what happens is you don't actually know this person in particular. And I know at one point you didn't really read books. At one point I didn't read books. Imagine if that was still the case. Like, think about for a second, like, okay, take all of your awareness from every book you've ever read and just eliminate it from your mind. It's like, it's unfathomable to think about. Like, I don't even know what it's like to not be an essentialist. Essentialism is a book we're reading in book club. And so I guess my point here is, what is the type of person that you are? Where can you be yourself? And then, one, what are the environments where you can't be yourself and it's kind of toxic for you? So you want to eliminate those. But then the other side of this coin is, where are the rooms or the people that you really could fit in if you actually tried, but maybe you don't feel like you fit in yet? And I think that's an important distinction here, because a lot of the places that I brought you in the beginning of this journey, Kev, you weren't that type of person. But then after we went and explored some of those persons, places, things, and ideas, afterwards you kind of came back with like, oh, maybe I could be a speaker, or maybe I am into personal development. Maybe I am a podcaster or maybe I could be a podcast coach. I remember that conversation I was there for. I mean, now you're a podcast coach with people all over the world and produce 25 shows. And at one point, I remember the conversation. It was literally, could I really do that? You think I could do that? It was at Froyo. And I just think it's important to eliminate the places where you don't feel like you can be yourself. But then also be open to the rooms where it's like, maybe I don't fit in yet, or maybe that's not my type of people yet, but let me go explore, at least try, that kind of thing.
A lot of times when I'm on shows, somebody said this the other day, they said it's inspiring how vulnerable you are. And I said, well, I appreciate that very much, but I just feel safe to be myself. That's really all it is. it's not like I had to dig to the depths of me to share that story. It's just, I'm just trying to be as much of me as I can be, and I feel safe doing that here. And then the deeper question is why? Why do you feel safe? Why do you feel safe? Why do you feel confident? Why do you feel capable? Why do you feel certain enough around some people where you can say, you know what, I can actually be the most authentic version of myself right now? I remember I told you this, Alan, a while ago. I had a client probably like a year ago, and I definitely I wasn't at the level of podcast coaching and consulting I am today, where I'm pretty straightforward in the kindest way, but I just want to deliver value and be honest and be transparent and say, look, if this is the result you want, this is what it's going to take. And I had a client who was very, 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 very confident. And I remember telling you, I was like, honestly, man, I'm struggling to coach this person. I am struggling to coach this person because for some reason, I don't know how to be myself around them. I get super intimidated and I get weird. And I'm like I'm trying to be this person's friend and not their coach. It's like weird. I have this weird energy. And I remember after I dug and dug and dug, and I put this person up on a pedestal for a little bit because they were more confident than I was. And that was just I wasn't used to that. I mean, obviously you're more confident than I am, but our dynamic is it's ingrained in me at this point. How many reps have we done this? So for me, it doesn't feel weird, but I don't know. It was a weird energy for me. And
What did
I remember
you do about it. What is it? Has that shifted since?
He's not a client anymore.
So the energies didn't align. In other words, you didn't feel like you could be yourself.
I think it was more, I just don't know if I was brave enough to be myself. It wasn't anything that person was doing. It wasn't like it was toxic. I mean, there was a little bit of ego there, but not a ton. Not to the point where I couldn't have just been more myself. I don't know. I think I was a little bit scared.
How long ago was this?
Probably like a year. Maybe
if you had that client now, you'd probably reset the relationship, right?
Yeah. Well, I would have started the relationship differently. I think at that point, I mean, I've learned a lot over the last year about this, about honestly, the ultimate goal, I think, is when you start any relationship, you try to be the most authentic version of yourself. Because already you're off to a better start than if it's, okay, I'm meeting Alan today. Who do I have to be in order to make Alan like me? Like, what if Alan's not supposed to like you? I mean, that's an option, right? You're not supposed to be liked by every person. And then that's where the weird energy starts, because if so say I pretend on a level 5 out of 10 when I'm with Alan. Every time I'm with Alan, I have to pretend at a level 5 out of 10. As we get closer and closer friends, who knows? I mean, Alan might go the other way and I might have to pretend at a level 7 to keep rapport with Alan, or maybe a level 3, depending. So I think that's the ultimate thing is when I started the relationship, I didn't start the relationship from a confident, centered guide position. I think it was more, wow, this person is super successful and super confident. I'm going to put them up on a pedestal. Boom. Relationship's off to a weird start already.
Bonnie here. I just wanted to share my experience with group coaching and some of the things that I got out of it. So going into group coaching, I was not tracking any habits at all. And so now some of them have become habits. I'm happy to say I wake up, I have a glass of water without even thinking about it anymore. So now I think it's probably time to gear up. I highly encourage people to jump into group coaching. There's so much information, and so stick with it and carry on, and your life will be better for it.
I I've been in conversations where it felt really difficult to be my authentic self. One, there's two things you're probably optimizing for when you go into a room with other people. We're social creatures, so I think naturally we optimize for belonging. I think we do. I think we optimize to fit in. I think that's a very natural thing. For particularly, in our early years when we're kids, we need to like fit in, do things the way other people do them, that kind of thing. You're either optimizing to fit in, and this is all subconscious, or you're optimizing to stay yourself. And at your happily ever after party, Emilia's the one who helped me understand this. That was one of the interactions, one of the social gatherings that I went into it like, no matter what, I'm optimizing for who I am now, not who I used to be. And one thing that makes this really cloudy and challenging is that we all have these different parts. There's a modality in therapy called internal family systems. We talk about it a lot. And essentially there's all these different parts. So there is a part of Kevin that's really funny, and there is a part of Kevin that loves books, and there is a part of Kevin that is still a little kid and that kind of thing. So it's not like you're being inauthentic. That's the other part. Maybe you're not the most authentic. It's a percentage, it's a spectrum. It's like 0% authentic or 100% authentic. 0 to 10 is probably a better scale. When I was at your happily ever after party, I feel like that was the highest I had ever gotten my truth dial in a social gathering. And I still was probably, if I'm honest, I would probably maybe a 7, maybe, because it's uncomfortable. I was on the phone earlier with someone, keep this anonymous too. We didn't agree at all on much. And so it's very difficult to have a conversation with someone where we disagree so strongly on so many things. It's like there's very little common ground. You meet someone for the first time, you're like, oh, where'd you grow up? Oh, yeah, I remember I lived in Mass for a couple years. Oh, no kidding? Uxbridge? Oh, interesting, right? You're always trying to build a relationship on commonality. But yet it's the differences that make us unique and amazing. And so it's like, when you go into a room, are you optimizing to stay authentically you, or are you optimizing to fit in? And I think it's all subconscious. And I would argue that you and I, and this is the main point, I've been talking about this for many episodes now, the law of attraction doesn't work right when you're always trying to fit in. It doesn't. And I use the analogy, and I'll go quick with this. Show up to a wedding, Kevin and I. Right? Kevin and I show up to a wedding. You all know us. You're our listeners, okay? You know us to a pretty decent extent, unless you're a brand new listener. Kevin and I show up to a wedding. Okay, awesome. All right, I'm not going to drink because I don't drink. Now imagine all of a sudden Kevin and I show up. We're both drinking, and we're both, not talking about personal development and pretending we don't even do personal development, and we just are just off the rails. We're not ourselves. We're acting like we don't lift. We're acting like we don't care about fitness. We're eating, a ton of food. That's actually not inauthentic at all. That probably is going to happen either way. But like, imagine that fake imaginary thing, like where we're just not ourselves at all. We're going to attract the wrong people. And we're also going to repel the wrong people. The people who are into personal development, who would love our podcast, are going to be like, oh, stay away from Drunkerson over there. Right? And yeah, maybe that's a past version of me, but it's interesting because the law of attraction cannot work when you're not yourself. And like, to your point, Kev, you shouldn't be liked by everyone. I think that's got to be one of the most misunderstood concepts in the world. What if I'm not supposed to be liked by that person I was on the phone with earlier? What if they're supposed to question whether or not we have anything in common? Because I'm certainly questioning that. And honestly, we don't have that much in common. That's okay. And so now imagine the second scenario. Kevin and I go to a wedding and we're talking about personal development. We're talking about holistic self-improvement. We're talking about our podcast. We're talking about goals and dreams. We're talking about books, and he's showing about the book that he showed. And, I'm talking about the compound effect. Like, people are going to notice that who love books. They're going to come talk to us. People who don't, they're going to avoid us. I think that's got to be one of the most powerful concepts in the world. And at the end of the day, if you aren't able to be your authentic self, dial that up and try to put yourself in a position where at least that's the goal. I guess that would be my last piece.
Yeah, if you're going to be disliked, you should at least be disliked for being you. That's really the only sustainable. And again, there's levels to that, right? You can obviously be, I don't want to say too much, but don't take advantage of the fact that you're so authentic that, there's always that type of person that's like, well, this is me and this is how I am, take it or leave it. Yes, I understand. There's always room for improvement and driving to 5. But that's a really good tactic, is anytime you're out, and this takes practice, obviously, but try to feel the energy in the room or feel the energy coming from a person. And all I mean by that is, say you go to a gas station, or you go to a store, or you go to a supermarket, or you go to the same Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or whatever it is. And maybe you start seeing the same person, right? The same person serving you, the same person's behind the counter. Start to test the energy. And this is all I mean by that. So Tara and I have a water dispenser that you'd have in an office. We used to have one in the studio because we go through a ton of water, and we had the Brita in the fridge. We had to fill it up 5 times a day. It just wasn't sustainable. So now we get the big 5-gallon jugs, boom, throw it in the machine, cool, we're off to the races. There's really nowhere up here that I have found that has delivery that is decent. I've done a lot of research. There's no good places that bring you water without messing everything up yet. So I go to Lowe's. So I go to the gym. I get there at 5. I lift from 5 to 5:45, 6. Lowe's opens at 6. I buzz on over there. I get some water. And there's always this guy, I think his name's Mark, working. And when I first started going there, he was just super happy. It's 6 o'clock in the morning, and this guy is as happy as can be. And I was like, all right, cool. This is my kind of guy. So I go back the second time. And again, I'm in and out. We're not having that much of a conversation. The third time, he said something about, oh, my wife and I did this weekend. So I ask, oh, what else do you like to do? All right, cool. Boom. Fourth time, he's telling me how his wife gets up at midnight and goes and runs for like 10 miles or something. He's like, yeah, I don't know how she does it. I'm in bed. It's like, all right, cool. Interesting. I go back another time. That time, him and I start to have a real conversation. When we're getting ready to leave, I'm getting ready to leave. I said, hey, Mark, much love. Have a wonderful day, my friend. And when I was walking out the door, I was like, one of two things happened. One, either that man thinks I am the strangest human walking the face of the earth, because who says much love when they leave a store? I said,
your email sign off.
With love. With love.
Oh.
And I send that, and I put hearts all the time.
Yeah,
I don't care. Whatever. I like hearts. Like,
Same.
whatever. Same. I don't care.
It is odd for a guy, though, isn't it? We do that all the time.
Yeah, I love it.
I think that's not common. I do too.
I love it. But that's why I said it to him, much love. I bet you nobody's going to say that to you today. And again, if you're going to be turned off by me as a human being, I want it to at least be me. And I went in there the next time, and we had a great we're buddies, best friends. I could hang out with Mark all day. So throw me on a Lowe's vest. I'm going to hang out with Mark. People think I work there. It'll be great. I won't get kicked out. But that's all based on the fact that I went in there with the understanding of I am going to intentionally be more of myself. And will it get weird? Absolutely. Of course it can.
Yeah.
Of course it can. But it also can be wonderful, because at the end of the day, everybody wants to be more of themselves. When we were in Milwaukee, we got DoorDash. And I remember the people got lost, and I was on the phone with them. And when they came and delivered the food, we had this like wonderful conversation. And they're like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry it took so long. And I was like, you're good. I couldn't find this place either. Like, we got lost when we came here. And I had directions, I had pictures and everything. You're good. And we had like a really good conversation, but I think it allowed us to be ourselves. And I think that's it at the end of the day. So ask yourself this: who do I feel comfortable being the authentic version of me around? Why? Is it their authentic version? Is it we've shared deep conversations? Is it I've seen them embarrass themselves? Is it they've never judged me, no ego, they're family, I know secrets about them? Start to connect the patterns, and that will ultimately help you become more of yourself everywhere you go.
Kev, did you know that
Yes.
Lowe's has the best tagline in the game?
Always improving,
Never stop improving.
never stop improving.
Yeah. Best tagline in the game.
It's pretty good.
I'm just saying, if Next Level University ever needs a tagline, I'll tell you this. That's a good one. That's all I'm saying.
steal it?
It's a good one.
Buy
Never
it
stop
from them?
improving. Holistically. Life,
gonna buy
love,
it
health,
from
and
them?
wealth. Yeah, I think maybe one day we'll give them a couple thou.
Couple thou for it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they'll take that. Anything in closing, Jeff?
That was it. That was all I had.
That was it. That's what you want to really
That's
end
all
on
the
a high
value.
note.
Yeah. Never stop improving. Close.
Next Level Nation. If you are listening to this, it is, what is it, Wednesday? So we're in the middle of December, which is absolutely crazy. It snowed in New Hampshire last night, a beautiful couple of inches. It was wonderful, a wonderful Sunday night snow shower. Our 9th round of group coaching starts January 3rd, 2023. We already have several people signed up. Please, if you have been interested in the past and maybe you said it's not the right time, I'm not feeling it right now, I'm too busy, there's too much going on, why not now? That is the question I would ask you. Why not now? Start your year off strong and make 2023 the best year of your life.
If you are a listener of this show, okay, you can reach out to Kevin and myself, and there's a promo code specifically only for listeners and members of our community only for that. I believe with this promo code, it comes down to less than $80 per month for the 6-month payment plan for all of group coaching. Okay, so it's extremely affordable on purpose for our listeners. Reach out to Kevin or myself. We will give you the promo code. Again, we had someone sign up earlier today. Also, we have news at NLU, Next Level University. The Next Level Universe. There is a new department called Next Level Graphic Design. As of today, we just created it. If you and your business, we are here for all of your business needs. Never stop improving Lowe's. I'm joking. All right. We are seriously here for all of your business needs. We have a podcast production company. We have business consulting. We have all these things. Next Level Graphic Design. If you need a logo, if you need a digital asset created, we have that available now as of literally today. Reach out to Kevin or myself. And if you need a logo designed for your business, we've got you. And if you've seen our website, you've seen our digital assets come through. You've seen different things that you've downloaded on this podcast. You've seen our course and the worksheets. I mean, all of that graphic design work is someone we have in-house, the amazing Christina, and she's going to be the one leading this department. So if you need anything graphic design, I just wanted to announce that. Please reach out.
Next Level Nation, tomorrow for episode number 1186, we often fall back into what's familiar. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. We are grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
See you at the next level.